Amir, come here. Let me give you a virtual hug. Huggies. Huggies.
I'll give you one as well. I'm sending one back to you.
Thank you. Amir, before you were born in 1990, I exited the Sea Organization. So we are a couple of generations apart. However, in this interview, by the way, I loved our private WhatsApp communications. You really charmed me, Amir. You touched my heart. Now,
Oh, thank you.
Now, you've talked you've done a few interviews and you've gone through how you got in and what they did and blah, blah, all that. What I want to do in this interview is do similarities and differences. I found it incredulous, painful incredulity that what they did to me, they did to you. I found the similarities unbelievable. And I want to emphasize that to show that they don't change. There's no change. It doesn't matter how many people make YouTube videos, how many people expose them, YouTube them, go on. All the different internet social media sites, including TikTok, they still are humongously punitive. It's management by punishment. Right.
Yeah.
Now, I think we could have fun doing similarities and differences. Now, in the very nice intro we gave you on Outer Banks, you mentioned, I want to get right into the punishment of what they did. How dare you speak out to enemies of ours? How dare you actually talk to Alex and Aaron? Whoa, this is treasonous. This is somehow I call them the cult. I can't even call them a church. Seem to believe that they are federal agents or parliamentarians that can order law. They believe that they can do that. So can you please tell me, I want to review and I want to do a comparison, how they punished you once they knew you were talking to who they considered suppressive persons?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the interesting thing about it is you'll hear stuff about the physical punishment that people can get, when they are stuck on the RPF or they're stuck on heavy manual labor and, they're work the entire day for no pay and they're just battered and bruised and whatnot and their body's just exhausted. However, there's a lot of psychological punishment as well. And they don't really tell you much. I mean, all you know is you get dragged out of the courtroom and you get stuck into a small claustrophobic ethics room for what's supposed to be a small chat, but really goes on for 2 hours or whatever until they get all the data they need. And that goes on and it really, really drags out. And then every time I would come out of one of those meetings, whether they had me write an essay or they had to show me several policies or from all sorts of stuff, I would say, that's it, like, it's done, right? And the ED, the boss, the executive director would say, yeah, everything's done. It wasn't. It went on for 2 weeks. So whilst being stuck on heavy manual labor and taking your highest producing guy in the public division who's running the social media, who's doing fantastic, you were willing to take this guy off his job, stick him on 6 to 8 hours of intense labor working in the renovations of the Life Improvement Center, whilst doing a 1-month ethical program, because they came to the conclusion that the reason I spoke to Alex was because I had misunderstood words on a policy. It wasn't. So I said it wasn't that at all. I just disagreed with the policy, and I have every right to speak to whoever I want to. But That honest to God, when you say that, it goes in through one ear and out the other ear. They don't really take note of it at all, and they just acknowledge you, and that's really it. So there's a lot of psychological stuff that you have to go through, for sure, as well as the physical.
Yeah, they are masters at. They've always bragged they understand the human mind, so they know how to go negative and bombard you so that you leave in your stimulated state. I listened to the ED interviewing you, and every question he asked you was an OSA question. Who else have you talked to? Why they want to know what your network, who, every single question. The ED sat down, and I'll tell you why it took a month. They relay all this back, and then it goes up a command chain, OSA to RTC, possibly even to Miscavige, and then it comes down the food chain again. Now ask him da 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 da, which, so you're called back in. You thought you were done, but this is an OSA operation. Get the data from him, make him confess, make him write out. What did he say? How long did he talk for? Who else is he? This was, even if the ED was polite with you, he was just being an OSA operative to suck out the data from you. Now, you went on for a month. I, being a class 12 CS and one of their crown jewels, there's only 8 people in the world that have climbed up to not just class 12, but class 12 case supervisor. Mine went on for 6 months. I asked to leave, and this was an earthquake. So I was put on messed work, pending the sec checks. And for 6 months, I won't say brutally, because some of my auditors were just wonderful. They weren't there to beat me up. They were just doing a job, right? But I was held against will. I wanted to leave and I couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be very careful how I routed out, because my son was in the Sea organization. And if I didn't toe the line, they would cut me off from my son, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. There's all kinds of.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
mine went on for 6 months, and every single day I had to report to the COCMO, the commanding officer of, COCMO PAC, who was talking to me. And I just can laugh at all this now. After months of sec checking, months. See, I was married to the international president of the Church of Scientology International, Hiva Jench.
Yeah.
And so this was like, they wanted to know the crimes. They wanted to know what pillow talk I had with Heber about nothing is off limits. If you get married, or if you have a 2D in the cult, there are 3 people in that marriage: the Church of Scientology, the 2D, they're right, and they want to know every detail. What did you do? What images did you have in your head when you had intercourse? I mean, it was just unbelievable. They feel it's their business. Their business. So I went, you escaped in a month. Good on you. Mine was a 6-month ordeal of sec checks, messed work. And at the end, like after 5 months of this, the commanding officer of CMO PAC said, Karen, just go back on post. We'll forgive you completely. No RPF, no nothing. Just go back on post. And I could not believe that. I had endured 5 months of this.
Yeah.
And they're telling me, go back on post.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Their lying propaganda say they kick me out. Da, 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 da. They begged and hobbled and groveled for me to stay in the Sea organization. But if
Yeah.
you read their lying websites, which are just
Yeah.
fantasy, they pretend. So did you, at one point in your communication, did you say you were in the RPF? Because that's only for Sea Org. Did you say you?
Yeah. Yeah. So what's interesting is I was like reading about the RPF and there's policies on it that you can access just by going on Google or by going on the internet and whatnot. And then there's the EPF as well, which new Sea Org recruits get put
Yeah.
on immediately. Um, but I was like, that's what I'm doing when I was reading through it. I can't do my job. I can't work with my juniors. I've been taken off post. I'm still posted. Like I haven't been demoted, but I just can't physically do my job at all. I've been taken off public lines, is what they said. I have to wear all black, and then I get
Mhm.
stuck in to work in the renovations of the Life Improvement Center, where I'm told that I have to help with painting and fixing stuff, working with equipment, helping these other guys. I have to do that for for 6 to 8 hours every single day. With no pay at all, and then I was reading through the labor laws and whatnot, and I'm just like, this is absolutely absurd. And then I had this massive ethics program, which was I had to. There's a lot of terminology, but I had to put everything into clay. It's basically like redoing a course called the student hat. So I had
Mhm.
to get method word clearing, which is hell in itself because if you have anxiety and you have to read in front of this flag
Yeah.
trained executive in the course room with all these guys hovering above you and watching you, and you stumble or something, then it's like, okay, which word did you not understand? And then you have to get
Yeah.
into that fancy stuff. So I had to read all that aloud. I had to put everything into clay. I had to get what's called false data stripping. I had to do all of this with a OEC FEBC mega flag trained standard guy. So I could only get that when they're there on that day if they had my schedule. Um, but with the ethics program, the studying, putting everything into clay, plus the all black and the labor work for hours and hours, and you were just dead because you're having to pick up all these weights. And the way that my org in Scotland is structured happy is you have these spiral stairs, so you're going up and down. There's no elevators or any
I
fancy stuff.
see.
I mean, that building's been around since the 1960s. So
Yes.
yeah, you're going up and down, and then you are just dead and just like you're just lying on the ground. When you're done with that stuff, so that's why when I was reading through, I was like, this is like the RPF for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Got you.
but yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense. It makes sense.
yeah,
I'm delighted you talked to Tom DeVoe. He did a fantastic blow and escape. It was just,
yeah, yeah,
looking at yours and looking at mine. I he told them on the 15th of blah blah August, September, whatever, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
yeah.
And he
Right,
was
right,
in lockdown, everything. Anyway, he got to the gate and he buzzed the gatehouse and said, "Open the gate, I'm leaving." And they
yeah,
said, "What?" And he said, "I told you 3 weeks ago on such and such a date, I'm going.
yeah,
Open the gate." And
yeah,
I think he did a bit of a threat, or I'll call law enforcement or whatever.
right,
And they opened the gate, and somehow his leg got tangled. He had to hurl himself, but he
yeah,
demanded to leave. Screw your sec check. Screw all your thing. I am out of here. I
hmm
love the way he's got a whole series of blogs. They're
hmm
well worth. See,
yeah,
Amir, I'm going to talk turkey with you, even though you
yeah,
you know you're sort of a tender young. Yeah, you've had the greatest gains that Scientology can possibly. They're just in the lower intro communicate. That's where the gains are. As you
hmm
go higher and higher, it
yeah,
becomes more and more punitive.
yeah,
More and more you're sent to epics. More
yeah,
and more you're accused of, and you have to pay big
hmm
money
hmm
to confess so that OSA has the data on what you're. It's not for your case gain. It's for OSA. Now, when I said I'm going to talk Turkey, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that will shock you, but they won't. They
Yeah.
won't. They won't leave any lasting effect. The worst thing about the cult of Scientology is the bait and switch. The bait and switch is they do not reveal when you walk in the door what those upper level confidential OT levels are. Secret. You can't know about it. Have you already seen some of the confidential? Have you read it on internet?
All of them. All of them.
All of
Absolutely.
them. Right. So you know about it's a demonic expulsion religion.
Of body
The
things.
Vatican had called it a demonic cult. Why? From OT3 to OT8, you're
Yeah.
talking to spirits and expelling them. You've already read all that.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm glad I'm not. Okay. Now, when you walk into any church, they tell you straight out, Amir, this is what you walk in the Catholic Church, there are Bibles all over, the Jehovah, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what we believe in, take it or leave it. The book, the Mormon Church, Church of LDS, they send out
The LGS. Yeah.
missionaries,
Yeah.
and they give you the book. This is the Book of Mormon. They tell
Yeah.
you exactly that, we believe in this. It may sound strange, but they're upfront and honest. Scientology does not tell you, we're roping you in, and for $500,000, $250,000, we're going to jettison out of you these attached spirits from OT3 to OT8, 20 years of expelling spirits. That's a bait and switch. That's a bait and switch. They didn't tell you that at all. Now, life improvement is wonderful. They really have some good stuff there. But this is a come on. This is just roping you in for what the bridge is. Any comments on that?
You know what? You made me think. So when I first joined staff, after being peer pressured in several interviews by these guys, okay, I became a flag trained registrar. So I became a flag trained salesman, basically, right? And
Yes.
somebody told me, Amir, I want you to watch. There's a film, okay, where L. Ron Hubbard basically talks about the Great Chart, the bridge, for the first time. And someone told me, he actually used to work in the Guardian's office. He said, Amir, as a Reg, you need to watch that film 20 times and you're going to get a cognition. So I watched it so many different times. And just as we're talking about the OT materials and whatnot, L. Ron Hubbard was such a massive fan of gradients. And the whole structure of the bridge and what gets revealed to you at certain points and, certain abilities that you're supposed to gain and whatnot as you go up the bridge and progress, it's supposed to be on a gradient. Hence why this stuff is not revealed to you at the lower levels because, I don't think anyone would join if they knew
Yes.
about Xenu having an overpopulation problem and hydrogen bombs and whatnot and body things. And I don't know if it's my thoughts or their thoughts. And it's bananas.
Yeah. Well spoken. Well spoken. If people knew and they were upfront on what the bridge is, they would walk right out the door. This is science fiction. He was a science fiction writer, and this is so the bait and switch that I protest is how deceptive they are. Amir, the farther you are away from int base, the more genteel they are. Little Happy in Scotland, right up there. The nearer you come into hierarchy, the more vicious, the more punitive. It's a cult of just beating you and smashing. This is the reverse of what a religion should be: benign, forgiving, kindness. I love the Dalai Lama for saying, my religion is kindness. is there any kindness that you witnessed or were preached to? Did you feel a sense of humanity, or was it, we are the authority and we will dominate and get, you perform for us, slave. You get down there and get your stats for the week. You're as good as last week's stats. My husband always used to say, you're always as good as last week's stats.
Right.
So did you feel a sense of benignness and kindness and humanity? Or was it Thursdays? Get your stats up. Was it a stat push? That's more like Coca-Cola. How many crates of Coke did you ship to Disney before that? This is management by statistics and performance. And you're relegated to being a slave to the system. Comments?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it very well, Karen. The kindness thing is a very, very interesting thing, not just in Scientology, but in any cult. And when I was a public and I was studying and doing film and going into the org or the organization, it's very strategic because you'll have sometimes beautiful women, sometimes people who pretend like they've known you for 10 years and, fist pump you and give you all these bear hugs. But then, come when you finish studying after course time, you got two guys waiting for you outside. Either they want your money or they want to join staff. So my bubble burst when I joined staff. I mean, I signed for the Sea Org, but I was only on staff. But when I was on staff, the culture of science, it's very fascinating. These guys are not going to check in with you and say, hey, how's your family doing? How's your son doing? Hey, let's go out for a coffee or something. They're not, that's not Scientology culture. That's not these kind of people. If you're Sea Org or staff, they have one mission and one purpose. And all these guys are under a tremendous amount of stress from their senior, and it goes all the way up the pyramid to the top, to the guy, David Miscavige, is delivering all these orders and whatnot. But these aren't like like they're not gonna, there's nothing in Scientology policy about giving money to a homeless person or their whole thing. And I was briefed on this so many times, but they're there to make the able more able. And I had a guy who is not to get too much into the terminology and whatnot, but he's a public, he's not a staff, and he's had awards for getting a lot of people in. But he came to the Oregon Scotland once, and what he said was, we are here to make the able more able. And I'm not here for someone who's disabled or for someone who only has mobility in his left foot. And then eventually after 2 years manages to tie his shoelaces and they make a movie on it. No, we're here to make the able more able. So I think that basically sums up their whole way of thinking.
Yeah, very good. That said it in a nutshell. People are critical of the Catholic Church, but they have huge Catholic charities in Los Angeles. They do care for people that live on the streets and stuff like that. Scientology has never supported a single orphanage where children have lost both parents. They haven't helped the orphans of Ukraine, or even out. They have a mission in Ukraine that suck out as much money from wealthy Ukrainians, even while a war is going on. Anyway, I think you nailed it. They want your money or they want your life of servitude. You join stuff. There's something obscene about a cult that only thinks of self. You can be wasted as you can be thrown out in the wilderness as long as if the cult can survive better by wasting you, by punishing you, by doing hate websites, you mean nothing to them. There's something obscene of way the cult is. I understand self-preservation, but self-preservation at the expense of any of staff who've worked for them, or even public who've given gazillions to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I made one video of 10 multimillionaires that gave over $1 million to the cult and
Hmm.
then were declared suppressive person. Of course, the cult kept the money. They kept the $1 million.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
kept the million and then declared them suppressive person.
Yeah.
A couple of
Yeah.
them even killed themselves after that. But anyway, it's me. Scientology is me. Our stats,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
production.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there's something about the camaraderie and working with a team that kind of makes you feel, my God, I'm going to lose all my friends. Are you
Hmm.
happy with how many friends you've gained as you crossed over?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that whole community, and Karen, you've been phenomenal as well, just introducing me to so many different people. But that community is overwhelmingly, unbelievably amazing and incredible. And there's so much support there, and there's so much kindness. And these are very stable people. Guys like Alex, I was still a staff member, I was still an executive, whilst, and I was speaking to Alex completely under the radar for weeks.
Oh,
I'd finish the org, and then they would take me into to ethics. I never got sent to ethics, but that's the room that they chose, this small claustrophobic room. I would speak to this
yes.
guy, I would speak to this guy, I would write an essay, any cognitions, any wins, and why I'm not going to do that. I would leave, and then I'd jump on the phone to Alex and say, Alex, this is what they made me do today, blah, 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 blah. And he would give me advice, and he would tell me what to prepare for and whatnot. So whilst being an unbelievably supportive community, which they're not supposed to be, as Scientology says, these are supposed to be the evil 2.5% of the entire world. But these guys are amazing, and they're so safe and stable to go to. And they're not going, I mean, even if you're a staff member or a Zerg member and you just want to speak to somebody and get some things off your chest, these are some incredible people to go to for sure.
Well spoken. Well spoken, Amir. Well spoken. I wanted to tell you that. Let me just briefly, because I wanted to do the comparisons.
Yeah.
Um, in the very late 1980s, I went with Heba, my husband, to Flag, and I said something I should not have said.
Mhm.
I said it to a fellow CS, assuming we had the ivory tower confidentiality. What
Mhm.
you say in the ivory tower, one CS to another, because you're discussing someone's private case.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a golden rule that doesn't leave the ivory tower.
Yeah.
So I thought telling her this was ivory tower, but it wasn't. She told one person who told one person, and it spread around the Flagland base. What it was some very high execs, Vicky Asner and Jesse Prince, were removed and put in the RPF. Now that was
Right.
confidential till a few days later. An issue came out in everybody's in basket. So it wasn't like I was giving out OT3, Volcano, Xeno data, or it was just an administrative thing.
Hmm.
Miss Cabbage went ballistic. Ballistic. I
Yeah.
was working at OSA as Heber's assistant. I was summoned to the int base, and I had 6 months of absolute brutality, which to this day I've never been able to get over. I still talk about it. This is like 30 plus years, 40 years
Yeah.
ago. What they did was
Yeah.
suck checks like you, but
Yeah.
I would be hauled out of bed at 2 in the morning,
Hmm.
starving, not enough sleep, and they would put me on the cans
Yeah.
and literally try to find out my crimes. Now, you've got to understand that I was this honored class 12s. I had just spent 17 years just about in the Sea Org. I was, how many crimes can you commit when you're in the Sea Hawk. You're not even outdoors to do any. So I
Yeah.
was just completely, utterly bombarded with hard messed work and sec checks, hard mess work. This went on for 6 months, and I was not allowed to see my 2-year-old son, who
Mhm.
was in Los Angeles, and I was in the confidential information.
Mhm.
I woke up one morning and thought, I did not sign up for this. I'm out
Yeah.
of here. Class 12, my ass. Take your
Yeah.
cert and shove it where the sun don't shine. Take the certs. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that, it was just a matter of time before I could actually do the route out. But it was a real wake up call when I saw the level of just not just punishment,
Mhm.
sadistic punishment.
Mhm. Yeah.
They they paid me maybe, I don't know in pounds, maybe 10, 15, 12 pounds a week for working 60, 80-hour weeks. I did get gifts. They called me the $1 million girl, gave me an e-meter personally hand signed by Hubbard, and I got all kinds of accolades at events. But
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
pay was like 10 pounds if you translate it, $15 a week for
Mhm.
years, no day off, auditing the L's, and then none of that means anything if they
Mhm.
want to gangbang sec check you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that sound familiar to the way they tried to crucify you after your 2 years?
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
in 2-3 years of production. There's no
Yeah.
mercy. It's
No.
just, we've got to find out what you've been up to, Amir, for OSA. That was the interrogations, no?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I've experienced my fair share of that as well. And um, obviously it's more brutal and worse for Sea Org because obviously you live on a Sea Org base and
Yeah.
whatnot, and they they
Can't go
they have
home. Yeah.
full full bloody control of your life and your finances and your marriage and every single little bit. At least with class 5 staff, you still got a little bit of breathing space in your house and
Yeah.
family and whatnot. God forbid you have any family in it. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always I joked around, and thankfully with me, they never went too hard with the policy jokers and degraders. I was
Mm.
a joker and a half. Like when I went to the IS event and I met COCMO and COCL, all these top guys,
Mm.
I would always try and crack them up and whatnot. And whenever I went in session or had a sec check, I would always try and break the auditors TRs and just crack them up. But yeah, yeah, I mean, I used to joke around that with PTS handlings when you were ill and you were brought on the meter, or if you had a KR, a knowledge report written on you, and you had to go on the meter, um, some KRs were dismissed. But then if the ED really wanted, like your stats were down or something, he would say, "Okay, chuck him on the meter to the ethics officer." But I used to say, like, I think they're just trying to traumatize you, to be honest.
Mm.
Because the thing is, they you can only jump on the meter so many times, and then it's it's already hard enough to try and come up with the slightest error you may have done, or overts that you've committed, or withholds that you've had, or stuff that you done that you never thought was an overt. There's only so much you can come up with and write down. So I used to joke around and whatnot when they're pulling you on this every day, and when it's lunch, the thing is when it's lunchtime or something, it's not like they just leave you alone. They'll come to, like, they'll say, "Where are you eating?" And they'll say,
Mm.
"Great, we're not done yet." So they'll come and they'll follow you wherever you're going, they're going. So they were just completely on you. But I used to joke around all the time and say, I think you're just trying to traumatize me on the meter.
Mm. Amir, well spoken. What, just theoretically,
Yeah,
what if you didn't suffer through all this? Let's take a theoretical thing. If
yeah.
you had stood up and said, I'm not going to put up with all this interrogatories and sec checks, I'm going to walk out the door right now, what would have happened to you?
Um,
Would
That's
they have
fascinating.
barricaded the door? Would they have? Would
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
not let you go? Go ahead and
yeah,
theorize.
yeah,
We're looking at a hypothetical, okay?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
because
100%.
some people say I'm gone. Base had an architect or a guy in charge of buying all the new buildings, landlord or some title he had,
Hmm.
and he one day he just stood up and he said, "I'm leaving. I'm out of
Hmm.
here." And they said, "What?" And he said, "I don't believe in any of the shit. I don't
Yeah.
believe in your e-meter. That's a police polygraph. But all this. I'm not going to sit on there. I'm not going to hold the cat. I'm not going to. I am walking out now." And they let him go. And he
Mm.
was this high guy who no building was bought without his signature. And he just said, once he said, "I don't even believe in any of your shit."
Hmm. Hmm.
They were powerless to. What could they say? We want to sec check. He didn't even believe that sec check worked. He didn't believe in any of it. And he
Hmm.
said that, and they let him walk out the door.
Hmm.
What if you had said that? Let's explore this. You
Yeah.
were being a good boy. You were being a good boy.
Hmm.
You did not stand your ground and say, "I didn't sign up for this. I don't agree with this. And I'm not going to sit through your rituals of trying to investigate me. I'm not going to participate. I'm going to walk out the door." Tell me what would have happened if you did that.
Yeah, what's funny is stuff like this is drilled all the time and practiced in Scientology. I mean, they do drilling and practice every single day after meetings and musters and whatnot. And I was part of this. And I mean, it's the same thing if you were an auditor or a counselor, and a PC or the guy being audited is trying to leave the room or blow. There's a thing in Scientology which is drilled. Well, at least in my org, I'm sure it is around the world, drilled heavily, which was TR9 was drilled a lot, and also 8C, like body control. So I didn't do that, but exploring this, which is actually a really, really fun thing to do, they would just 8C you. They would control you. They wouldn't let you leave the room, or they would hold you, or they'd put their arm around you. Not like they're kidnapping you in that manner, but it's just like, hey man, come back here, like grabbing your arm, putting their, or they'd be like, no, 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 here, come with me, come with me. Let's sit down for a second, and let's go up, and then he takes you into a room on the meter, or he'll take you and just, acknowledge you, and he's not really listening to you, but he acknowledges you, so you think he's listening to you, and he's deciding what to do with you and whatnot. But I would be 8 seats, 100%. I'd be controlled into a room, or they would not just have me leave like that at all. No way.
Mm-hmm. But you see, the arrogance in that is that they believe they have police powers,
Yeah,
that they can take you into custody and not
yeah,
let you free passage. Like, just examine that in terms of the normal world. You
yeah.
can't hold someone against will.
No,
It
you
has
can't.
words like kidnap. It has, it's against the law.
Yeah. Hmm.
But when you actually report this to police or such, it's so unreal to them. They don't get it. They can't believe that you would even subjugate. They'd say, "Well, why didn't you just walk out the door?" Like
If
a
only
lot
if it
of
was that
time.
simple.
Yeah,
I wish it was
exactly.
that simple. Yeah.
Yeah. So they already drill and plan and predict people are going to try to. They expect it. So
Yeah.
what kind of mentality do they have, knowing that people are going to want to blow? Blow is a slang for those who are watching who are not fully gendered. Blow means escape. Blow means to flee
Yeah.
without authorization.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to leave Scientology at all without going through a huge rigmarole of, you know, security checks and sign maybe half-inch thick documents that you will never sue the church, that you will never talk on the internet, that you will never, blah, 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 all your rights as a human being. Did you ever sign those, Alex?
Oh,
Did you sign?
um, no, I mean, obviously you have the staff contract, which I can't, at this moment in time, go too much into. Um, but no, I mean, I like the way that I left was after day one of working in the Life Improvement Center and whatnot, and doing all the work there and lifting all these weights upstairs, carrying all this equipment and whatnot for hours and hours. I was dead. So I got a shopping bag that you would normally get from a store, went to my office, grabbed all my commendations, all my awards, all my certificates, all my suit, my jacket, my belongings, anything in my drawers that belonged to me, badges and whatnot. I went out the emergency exit, so the guys, the CERC members and whatnot, couldn't see me leave at reception. And then I literally just jumped on a bus home. And I was like, Alex, let's do an interview. I'm not going back tomorrow after that, what they just did to me today.
Whoa,
So I didn't sign
whoa,
anything. Didn't sign anything.
whoa, whoa. I want to tell you, and this is very important for those listening in who might be sitting on the fence. Those things you sign are worthless. They
Yeah.
are a psychops. They make you think, because when you sign an initial, you have to pay them $50,000 for every time you go against what you signed. If you speak on the internet, if you do one post, $50,000. If you do two posts on the internet, $100,000. And the psychological operation is that people believe that they would owe a massive amount of money if they didn't toe the line. But a lot of lawyers have looked at this, and it's just complete hogwash. First of all, they don't even give you a copy of what you signed.
Yeah.
Plus, you
Yeah.
sign under duress. You'd
Yeah.
sign anything to get out of there. You'd
Yeah,
sign
for sure.
anything. So
For
they
sure.
make you, but just so the world who watching of this, there is no validity to what you sign. You don't
Yeah.
owe them a frigging those things you signed. Mike Rinder, beloved Mike Rinder, who's since passed,
Yeah.
he said he made these up. He wrote them, and on one of his blogs he said they are worthless. But the poor Sea Org member who's so keyed in at the time and is sitting in total restimulation of his baggage, and he believes that he would be liable for all this. So it's just not worthless. Oh, so you never signed anything. Tell me, this was
No.
beautiful. What you just said, I loved it. I want to hear it all over again. Tell me, was your heart pounding as you pack it? You had, I mean, didn't people observe you walking out with a big shopping bag? I mean, you were very you were already a little bit under, you were under a watch. They were watching you because you were being, you were being rebellious here. You weren't. So tell me again slowly now.
Yeah, for sure.
What happened the day? Did you decide earlier in the day to walk out the day? Slowly go through that and your departure. It was a wonderful story.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. First of all, I want to say hello to any OSA member that's watching this. I have to be very cautious in what I say at this very specific moment in time, but essentially, if I could narrow it down to one moment, one day on the RPF or one day doing slave labor, the whole day working in renovations, when you're highly unqualified to be doing electrical work or any kind of stuff like that, I was like, I am done. So I made light of it. I made an RPF playlist on Spotify, had these headphones. I was listening to the Beatles. They got me through it a lot. I was listening to several artists and whatnot, and I made light of the situation. But I'll tell you, there is a lot of psychological warfare that goes on with this stuff. Okay, and obviously it took weeks. However, with being very vague about this whole entire thing at this moment in time, whilst OSA and the ED were doing their thing, this was very, very strategic, okay? And yes, Karen, my heart was definitely beating for sure. Um, whilst they were doing their thing, I was doing my thing, and I'm quite a clever guy, I like to think. So they're gathering intel on me their way, and I'm gathering stuff on them at the same time. And I had access to everything. I had keys. I had access to every computer. I had access to absolutely everything. Despite this going on, I had access to every room in the organization. I had access to every file, every folder. I had access to everything they could possibly
Incredible.
fathom, which
Incredible.
which they will never get or never know about, because it's distributed physical across the world as well. And I also have family who work in investigations and law enforcement, so it's also with them. So they will never ever know that or get it. Also, there's cameras in the house, so they would never obtain it in any kind of way. But I gathered information for weeks whilst they were gathering
Wow.
information on me, and I was also under the radar with Alex, speaking to him constantly on a daily
Mm.
basis as well. So
Wow.
it's very strategic. I'm going into the org, and the ED's coming in, and it's like acting. It's like a mask and nicey
Mm.
nicey, and you got to do this thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do this thing. I got to speak to this guy. But then when I go home or when he stays, the ED doesn't have a day off. He does day and foundation, so he does like 101 hours every single week. So he's obviously, they've got their mask and I've got my mask, and then when we leave, it's just a very competitive chess match this whole time. So I was equally as strategic, if not more strategic than them. But honestly, the day one of looking at that ginormous ethics program and working and doing the renovations and whatnot, and that physical labor, I dropped to the floor and I was like dead. Like, if you get told to run upstairs with weights on your shoulders and arms for hours, it's like you've ran 3 marathons and you're just dead. And then I just got a bag, went upstairs, went out the emergency exit, jumped on a bus, and I declared that day I was not going back in tomorrow. So I told everyone who I strategically pre-recorded videos with to release the videos on that day, and therefore, obviously we're still going to watch that. Therefore, they'll know I am not going back on post tomorrow. So I left. I never got kicked out or anything. I left after that harsh treatment and punishment.
Mm.
But yeah, it was like a film.
Wow. They just don't learn. I became one of their almost worst nightmares. Now I
Yeah.
have so much other stuff going in for my life. I don't do videos every week and all that. I've got so much enrichment in my life, and my passion is animals, abused animals, animals in labs. I'm just dug into that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do want to, that was good. That was standing your ground. That was well
Yeah.
done, Amir. You reached a
Thank you.
threshold. Enough
Yeah.
is enough. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's what many people, you reach a peak. And
Mhm,
after
mhm.
that, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now I do want, if I can change the subject really abruptly, I have a couple of
Mhm, mhm.
sharp questions to ask. One is,
Yeah.
while you were there on staff, was
Yeah.
any staff member forced to have an abortion? Because they are,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
any staff member or coaxed to not have children because you're dedicated to give your life to being on post? Did you
Mhm,
experience
mhm.
any of that?
Thankfully, no, not anyone forced into any abortions, though I have read plenty, and it's obviously a very common thing in the C organization. However, there were at the same time, for example, the ED and the exec esto, which are just two jobs, two post titles, and there were other people that I knew that refrained from having kids because part of their strategic planning was to open the ideal org, then join the C org. So I knew people that put off the idea of even having children because they dreamed or had signed C org contracts and whatnot. That one was very common for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. But first of all, how many total staff did did Scotland org have? Happy, it's called. What? How many
Yeah,
total staff? How
yeah,
many staff?
happy. So that's actually a very fascinating question in itself. I think because they set quotas and whatnot before the IS event, after the IS event, I think the number is 25. However, the number 25 is questionable in and of itself because within those 25, you have several minors, and you have the majority of those 25 are not even full-time staff members. They're on a part-time schedule. So even that's
Yeah,
quite questionable. But
yeah.
25 at best.
All right. Now, of the 25, how many are female? As a just as a guess.
Mm.
You may not be
Oh.
accurate. No problem. Just at a guess. How is
I
it?
think
Half and half?
no. I think there's more females. So maybe 15, 16.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. You see, as you go further and further away, it's a little more loosey goosey.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sergeant major clambering down with a hammer and a whip occurs after you join the Sea Org. If
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm.
thought this life was rough, oh my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
you're supposed to really just suck it up and take it once you're Sea Org.
Yeah.
And you're at
Yeah.
the mercy of brutal seniors.
Yeah. For
Now,
sure.
now, Howard, people usually are unable to go to middle of the road. Middle of the road and center is more sane. People swing to all black or all white. That's cult thinking. In fact, David Miscavige was on stage and said, "You're either with us or against us, black and white.
Yeah.
You can't sit on the fence. You can't examine and take a look and see. You can't evaluate. You're either 100% L. Ron Hubbard, hip, 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 hooray, or you're an SP. There is no center or middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
However, in an org like Happy, it's way more. If you thought it was bad, you have no idea how bad it could get as a Sea Org staff member. And I want to
Mm-hmm.
tell you that Hubbard wrote a policy. I'm going to email you the policy. He
Yeah.
said, make punishment so gruesome. He actually did create a lead, like you've heard of how he threw people overboard 4
Yeah.
stories high, the Apollo.
Yeah.
Well, he set the tone on management by punishment. There's no question that he wrote some brilliant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The wins you get on introducing what doesn't take away that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But you were asked a question which you answered in a very interesting, I forget whether it was, I think it was an Alex interview. It could have been a Nora, could have been an Aaron. I listened to them all.
Mm-hmm.
But you were asked basically the fundamental question you were asked is, was your experience in Scientology a net positive or a net negative? Now, it wasn't in that wording. That
Yeah.
wasn't in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
wording. It
Yeah.
was just like, did your wins compensate for any negative on you? And I'm asking it to you in a different way, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you've in every day you grow up and you learn more. You're such a good student. You're interviewing all the right people. Oh, I have a request.
Go
Can
for
you
it.
can you please interview my husband, Jeffrey Augustine?
I would love to.
Good. I'll have Jeffrey we'll check with you on a day this week. Jeffrey did do some Scientology, though they tried to deny it. He went into Los Angeles org,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they wanted $12,000 for him for life repair. And he was like brand new. And he said, look, I don't have $12,000 worth of case. I might have $500 worth of case, meaning if they wanted to ordered him, you know,
Oh my God.
he sat with a dear Israeli guy, arranged for them. He's just a sweetheart. He's dead and gone now. And he said, "You are sitting in the reactive mind. That is not fun. You need to give me $12,000 to get you out of your reactive mind." And Jeffrey was brand new, off the street, raw meat. He was willing
Oh,
to give them. Anyway, long story short, because he had high security clearance,
yeah.
very high, the ultimate high security clearance, they suspected him of being a plant. So all he got were sec checks. He didn't
Mhm,
get, he didn't even get objectives. He got sec
mhm,
checks.
mhm,
And then he became a critic.
mhm,
And for the last 20 years, he was a critic before you were even born, dear Amir.
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
He has researched and especially followed the money line.
Mhm.
You know, they say if you want to find a criminal, follow the money. Follow the
Right,
money.
right.
So his blog is called Scientology Money Project. And
Right.
I'll tell you, Amir, he works with FBI. He works with IRS. He is a beloved asset to law enforcement.
Yeah,
So I would
yeah.
love him to, and he thinks you're a kick-ass Satan. You're a badass. That's what
Let's
we
go.
call in America. He
Yeah,
calls
I love
you
it.
bad. Amir is badass. Badass is kind of an affectionate thing, meaning you're bad, but you're bad for the right team, and you're badass for Scientology. You're not badass for us. You're kick ass for us.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I will count on a nice interview with Jeffrey coming up within the next week. Is that he'll be completely different than me. He'll be completely different than Amir. Than Amir. What am I saying? Than Alex and Aaron. His whole everybody is different, right? They have a different flavor. The
Right,
way
right,
they
for
talk
sure.
to you, they're completely coming from their universe.
Right, absolutely.
So, Alex, we're winding down to an hour, and I really would like to do part two because I
Yeah,
wrote out some terrific bullet points to ask you,
yeah.
but we covered some good stuff, but there's more. So, in a month or so, can we revisit and do part two? Would you be up for that? You and me, part two.
Karen, anything you would like me to do, I'm in. I'm in automatically.
See, you're so gracious. You have a graciousness about you're badass and gracious. How can that be?
How is that? I know.
Well,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
yes, we'll do that. But I think I would like you to do one with Jeffrey because he's so may I ask you a couple of final questions?
Yeah, far away. Absolutely.
What was the average GI revenue weekly at Happy?
Oh, see, okay, this is fascinating. Unfortunately, in this moment in time, I can't disclose it.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
but if you note that down, we will. And I've spoke to Chris Shelton about this, and I've spoke to several other people that are like dying to know all this stuff. I will reveal all of this stuff at some point, but pencil it down, okay?
Can you just tell me were you in a $10,000 range? Were you a 10,000 pound range, 20,000? Can you just give a range or you'd rather not? That I respect you if you can't, but I just want a
Yeah,
range. Is it a 5,000 pound org? Is it a 10,000 pound org a week? Is it a 25,000? I just, but
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
I respect your boundaries. And you've
yeah,
got your own good reasons why you don't want to reveal that. I just want to
yeah,
know
yeah,
if Happy is really some, but I'll tell you something.
yeah,
Their
yeah. Go for it.
stats have crashed since your departure. They
Oh, for
are
sure.
in a tailspin. Whatever money they were making, it's gone into a tailspin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very funny. I hate being a salesman. I love
Yeah.
talking to people. I love PR stuff. I love public speaking. I love putting on events. I love stuff. I hate sales. However, unfortunately, I had statistics there, and my book sales were great, and I could make money. I could, and so my first ever job, my post when I joined staff at like 19 was what's called the HES, the HCO Executive Secretary. So all of HCO is mine, all of dissemination is mine, and ultimately I was tasked with the job of running HCO and ethics and also making enough money for the org to survive every single week. What I can say is though that they are struggling so much. There's
Uh,
not a lot of Scientologists, especially in
uh,
Scotland. Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland, not the biggest city, but the capital, which has about 500,000 people. But their field isn't big. The course rooms are empty, which is another reason. It's a cuckoo land. It's one flew off the cuckoo's nest over there, where they can only the course room is dead and empty, and they can only get like one new person started on a course every week,
wow.
if they're lucky. But then like the flag rep or the FR or these other guys are like, oh my God, we're saving the planet, we're clearing the planet. So it's one flew off the cuckoo's nest, and you know they're not going with what is,
Yeah.
which I think is why the management is so poor. Is these guys they're not going with what's real in the physical, what's going on in the real world. They're not, there's so much stuff on the internet, and social media has killed Scientology so much,
Yeah.
killed it completely. And they'll say, no, 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 that's just the evil 2.5%. And they bark the loudest. This is verbatim what they say. They bark the loudest, but the majority of people, they're cool with it. They're fine with it. We just got to reach them. So it's just a cuckoo's land over there, and they're just not with it at all. They're not with it. But they're struggling to make money for sure. Like they
I
don't pay their staff. They send their money elsewhere to all these different places. So it's just a circus.
huh, huh. Good, very good overall view there. There's
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something hilarious that they tout. They say when the SPs are squawking so much,
Mhm.
what it means is we're winning.
Yeah.
Have you heard that? We're winning. Look at
Yeah,
look at
yeah, yeah.
look at all that noise. Rah
It's a
rah rah rah. That
it's a
means
policy
we're
called Science of Success, is what the policy is called.
and they
Yeah.
tout that a lot. You see, we're absolutely winning. Well,
Yeah.
I uh, I'm excited that we'll come back and do part two with my great bullet points. I just want to
Yeah.
tell. I know a lot of Scottish people will. I'm going to title this and hashtag it so that people who were thinking about going into Happy will at least watch the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. For sure.
Happy has had an extraordinary history.
Yeah. Sure has.
And in early days, when you were in a different incarnation, I don't know, you were some kind of spectacular spy, intelligence or warrior or undercover agent, whatever, whenever you were in some other incarnation, in 1968, Happy had the advanced organization of the church was moved off the ship. The ship became too dangerous. The people were, so they moved the AO to Happy. There was no such thing as AOLA and AO in Copenhagen and AO in South Africa. None of those existed. So
Yeah.
the AO was moved to Happy. And Happy was the
So.
first city in the world to have an AO. And lo and behold, a youngish guy, probably in his 30s, you talked about climbing up the winding steps. he went up the steps at Happy and hurled himself and killed himself onto the pavement of Happy. It was electrifying to the poor, meagly staff that were there, that one of their staff would throw himself off. Do you have balconies? Do you have a
Yeah,
balcony?
for sure. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that very same building, right down on the street, lay the dead body of this guy. And what the internet didn't mention is, what did the cult do to this guy to drive him? I mean, it's
Yeah.
to drive him. It takes quite a bit of. So sorry to end off on a gruesome note, but I
okay.
wanted to state that Happy had the first AO in the world, and it had, as far as I know, the first suicide by hurling yourself off the building onto the street.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was the subject of quite a bit of discussion in early blogs. But when I tried to Google and look it up, I think the Wayback Machine, are you familiar with the Wayback Machine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, would probably have Happy Scotland suicide 1968. You'll find it. I remember thinking, I wonder what pressure he was under.
Yeah.
Way back in 1968. Anyway,
Yeah.
boy, you are enchanting to talk to, Amir. You
Thank
walk
you
the
so
walk.
much.
You walk the walk.
I think Karen, because we used to be briefed. It used to be the LC or the LRH communicator come with the Christmas parties, or sorry, it was beer and cheese. That's what it was, beer and cheese. We used to be briefed on stuff like this, and we had quotes that L. Ron Hubbard personally had written about Happy. I think so. In his science fiction book Battlefield Earth, I think LRH actually put some Scottish people as the hero in that book. And David Miscavige raved about the film when it came out, which is a hilarious story in itself. And I think when Ron was on the ship, it was called the Royal Scotsman at one point as well, right, Karen?
Yeah. The
Right,
original, yeah. Scotland is.
It's got its history.
Yes, it does. A lot more than Ireland. And
right.
Well, you've put Scotland on the map now.
I told them that when I did the first interview with Alex.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, I love Alex. He's a
Alex
dear.
is amazing.
Alex is, yeah. Anyway, lovely chatting with you, Amir.
You too.
Really, really a pleasure. Just a pleasure. And
likewise.
Yeah. I want another hug from you, Amir.
Oh,
I want
absolutely.
Hug. Big
absolutely.
hug. Big hug.
Okay.
You are,
there we go.
You are a real asset to our X community. Thank you for all you do.
No, thank you so much. I mean, you have been, even, just speaking about you right now, you have been unbelievable with your support and always being there, and your generosity and kindness and what you've been willing to help me with so far. But it's an absolute pleasure speaking to you. And even with you, Karen, I'd followed your channel for weeks as well. So I'd seen several of your videos. But just thank you in general for your kindness. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Amir.
Likewise.
You're a little jewel there. Yes.
Likewise.
Little crown jewel. Bye-bye, Amir. Take care.
Take care. Take care, Karen. Bye-bye.
Blessings to you.